Recording is in progress.
Recording in progress.
Hey, Mark, do you have that thing with all the numbers on it?
God damn it.
I could
Give me
just do
just
that.
1 second.
I guess I could do
1
that
second.
too. Yeah, once you've
I
done
have it ish.
15 episodes of this, just gets.
That would be 86.
That's what
Wait,
I thought.
is this my? You said that Bucky was my summary, but this.
Yeah, I've got a summary. Yeah,
Okay.
Matt also, I was meant to do Sharkboy and
Sharkboy
Lavagirl. And conveniently, Matt got that one, and I got this complicated movie. So,
okay. Well,
are you sure? Okay. Anyway,
I'm looking at the
matter.
list. It says 86 MK for this, so whatever.
I've written one, so
Okay.
and it's not 4 pages long like either of you would do.
there we go. Okay,
Very
I
good.
guess we'll roll ahead then with our Steam.
In at number 86.
You forgot.
In at number 86.
6, 8.
In at number
86, 6, 6, 6.
You already did this,
6.
remember? You
Yeah,
did
I
it,
know.
and then you got really upset.
Did I do it on number 96 or did I do it on the other 86?
Yes, you did. You did it, Matt.
Cool.
And then Luke got really enraged and then went over to your house and started just beating you with a chair. It was crazy. I can't believe you guys don't remember that.
That's like a good
so
part.
many tests. Yeah. Hello, this is Films and Filth. I am Matt. There is Mark.
Hi.
Here is Luke.
There is Luke. Coming back is Dorian. Film conservationist. Should I say conservationist?
It's more preservation. It's more archivist than preservation. Conservation's a little different, but you can just say film lady.
Film lady. Okay, Dorian is our film lady.
Yep.
You can certainly talk the tech more than the rest of us probably can combine. Well, I won't speak for Mark. Mark's worked on some stuff, but you usually do the paperwork, right?
I've
done a lot of stuff. I've done more than I really have time to go into.
Okay. But yeah, it's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I actually have a picture on my computer of where I saw the movie in 2004.
Were you in Japan?
No, I was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and it was like this super, old theater. So I took a picture outside the theater too.
Did you say Jackson Hole?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Jackson Hole.
We ate at Dick Cheney's favorite restaurant and then saw Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Does Dick Cheney Jackson Hole?
Yes. But yeah, this is one where I saw it in the theater. I saw it I probably saw it a few times on DVD when it came out, and I haven't bothered to watch it in 15 years, and now I get to see how it's aged. Mark, this is more of an arranging movie for you, I think. At least you were.
I saw this in the theater and did not like it. Watching it today I'm going to just go ahead and say it was upsetting because I started off not liking it, and then by the end I sort of feel like I just didn't understand it. So I just kind of started hating myself by the end of the film. So that was real super healthy.
So you went from hating the movie to hating yourself?
Yeah, this sort of is that kind of movie, isn't it?
I guess so. Luke, is this your first time?
Yeah, I obviously was aware of this film. I think when it came out, I was a big Jim Carrey fan, and my parents being like, I was like, "Oh, can I see the new Jim Carrey movie?" And my parents being like, "You don't want to watch this one, Luke. It's not what you think." And then I just never got around to watching it until we had an excuse to watch it.
Okay. Did you hate yourself after you watched it?
No, I quite like. I watched this film on a bus home from, on my way home after I went to Mexico. So last weekend.
Right.
So I was pretty zonked and just got into the film and quite liked it.
There you go. Dorian, you must have requested this at some point, but you've said you had completely forgotten about it.
I don't mean that as like a Lacuna Inc. joke either. I don't remember ever seeing it. So I finished it like a half an hour ago. So it is like reverberating in my brain. So that's all I can remember is this most recent viewing. So
Well, that's all you have to remember for this. But
That's true. That's true.
my bugaboo, and it could be that I'm watching on this like from 2004 DVD here, but I was definitely like, oh, early digital photography, not sitting well anymore.
I believe there are a lot of practical effects in this, but I don't.
The effects. There's lots of cool practical effects, but I think a lot of the effects required them to shoot on. I actually was looking at the wiki when we got on just to see if it said what cameras they actually used and make sure I'm not wrong about this. But I felt like I was watching a very digitally film.
I was watching this on my phone, so I couldn't notice things like that.
Yeah, I watched it via the high seas, and it looked fine, but I wasn't expecting a whole lot. So, I mean, maybe I might have been watching it at higher than DVD quality, but it maybe not. I'm not really even sure.
Two handheld cameras film near 360-degree footage at all times, shooting 36,000 feet of film a day. So I guess it's more like a thing about lighting and stuff. So, but
Yeah,
but the
this is
effects
another
are
one
cool.
of those. Michel Gondry is the music video guy. Like this is another. I don't remember the last instance of that. Maybe I guess I know who killed me might have been one of those. But there's every once in a while you get the music video guy movie, and this is prime example of that. Like Highlander is one of those.
That yeah, I think it's my favorite movie that I just can't watch is also from around this time, which is Inland Empire, which is really good but just looks like garbage.
See, I've been afraid to watch it because I don't want to see a David Lynch movie that doesn't look good.
I mean,
I've never watched
it's
it.
blocked well, it's framed well. It's just he's shooting like the camera he's shooting it on is just garbage.
That's the thing is that most of his films, even what say what you want about Dune, it looks great.
We had
Looks
lots to
better than
say
the
good
Phantom
about Dune.
Menace. I mean,
I'm gonna bounce this one on Luke. Actually, I think I kind of still prefer the Lynch Dune.
I don't, but that's because I'm like
Yeah.
actually a big fan of the books.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I have that in my brain that Matt's Lynch and Luke is Villeneuve.
Granted, we
Yeah.
haven't gotten the
Villeneuve.
second half yet. Give me a second half. Maybe I'll change my
Yeah.
mind.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well,
So
sooner or later, it's happening.
because it is like comparing half a movie against a kind of full movie.
Yeah.
Mark, are
So
you the guy who's into the Sci-Fi Channel original version?
I haven't seen that, but I will take that. I'll just go ahead and take that bullet. Sure. I'll just go ahead and represent that one.
That you've never seen. That makes
If
sense.
there's an anime, then I'll take that.
Sorry, I don't want to do this because it's really obnoxious, but I just remembered my dream last night was that I was the captain of Babylon 5. Okay, continue.
Did you do some diplomacy?
Yeah, pretty much. Just wandered around, talking to diplomats. No shadows or anything.
I've had a few dreams recently of like people that I've dated in the past, and in my dreams, people who I used to date are always way more open and talkative.
Like in this movie?
I don't know. That's the thing, is that halfway through this, I realize that the things that made me turn around on it is that almost everything you see is just Joel's imagination. So
you're never really
maybe
meeting her. Yes.
Maybe he sucks at the beginning and gets better towards the end because you sort of see her as more of a human being towards the end. And I think the way I read this when I first watched it was that he was just getting more and more attached and more clingy. So he
well,
was
everything with the blue hair is her. So it's about 20 minutes of film that's actually the real her in real life and not his memories.
But also, I mean, recently, I think have all of us watched Valerian and the something of 1,000 Planets?
I watched 15 minutes of it.
That got a lot.
I think you're gonna have to take that as a no, Mark.
That's a lot of that got a lot of hate for the couple not having chemistry in it, and they spent a lot of time just kind of yelling at each other in the movie, but the characters clearly liked each other, and I sort of read that as a French director writing a couple doesn't necessarily translate to American audiences. And I feel kind of like Clementine is the French person, and what's his name? Joel is represents the American, and it's just like the French hate fucking the Americans. kind of. I mean,
Okay.
it's because this is I learned researching that Michel Gondry had the idea for this. This was his project, and he basically took it to Charlie Kaufman and was like, "Look, you're my guy. You have to write this because this is for you," which makes sense. But what happened later is that Memento came out, and then Charlie Kaufman started trying to back out because he was like, "I don't want to do this, man. This is too much like Memento." And I think there was just a lot of pressure on him from the studio, just do it, even though the studio apparently hated the script. So it's really interesting because it's the product of someone who was a French guy was like, "You must do this movie," and then he's trying to back out of it after seeing Memento, which go ahead and say Memento.
They don't have that much in common other than a non-linear story, really.
I agree. And I also kind of think this is better than Memento now after rewatching it,
I'll
which
go
is
with that.
weird.
I haven't watched Memento in a long time, but it
Yeah.
doesn't hold up as well as everything he did since.
Also,
It's like if you
especially
know the thing, then you know the thing, right? You know, it's like if you go in knowing what the thing
Yeah,
is.
it is a bit of a if you know the twist film.
And I watched the version that was on the DVD bonuses where you could watch it in order. Not very fun to watch it that way.
Memento.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
it was
Like I was
it
going to
was
say with this film though, especially in the early 2000s, are you going to get a better script out of a happy Charlie Kaufman or a pissed Charlie Kaufman?
I think this is just an afraid Charlie Kaufman. Like this script is full of fear and terror. This is a very anxious and upset.
I just assume
story.
you want him in a bad place to give you a script. Like if he's like well-adjusted and happy, you won't get a good work from him. He's that tortured artist sort of writer.
I mean, maybe adaptation. He might have been happier for that, and I still think that's a better movie than this. But I guess I have to rewatch that now.
Yep. Not for this podcast.
Not
That's
for this
on the-
podcast,
yeah.
but now being for my own index. But
Edification. There's a big word you could use.
the other thing that messed with me a lot was that I realized that these people are just my parents gender swapped. So that's bad. My parents should not have been together. It's okay. My mom will never listen to this. They shouldn't. They did not belong together. They just stayed together because back then people just didn't want to get divorced. And that's it.
Well, in case people have completely forgotten the movie, Luke, you have that plot you say, which wasn't yours, but now it's yours because we record out of order.
Joel and Clementine meet in a meet cute on a train. We then see the end of their relationship, with Clementine having Joel erased from her memory and Joel deciding to do the same. As we go back through Joel's memories of the relationship toward an alternative meeting on a beach, he has second thoughts, particularly when he overhears that one of the memory technicians is using his memories to creepily pick up Clementine. Joel fails to stop Clem being erased, but manages to save a desire to head to a certain beach. We see the meeting from the start again and realize this is the pair meeting again, without memory of one another. They are made aware of their previous relationship by a disgruntled employee, but choose to risk it anyway.
All right, there we go. So well, I guess we'll do some nitty gritty on the actors in this one. How do you guys feel about Jim Carrey's dramatic turn, which I guess this is what kind of solidified it, starting with Truman Show and running into this more or less.
Truman Show, it's like it's him still doing wacky Jim Carrey in a serious story, whereas this he doesn't do any like wacky Jim Carrey stuff. And I'm stealing this from I think a comment from the director, but I think it works because you can kind of tell that Jim Carrey's tied down. Like, he seems like a man trapped in his body because you know he wants to be doing Jim Carrey stuff and he's not. And it really works for this character who's just like, you know, boring, mediocre man who feels trapped in his life.
I read he was having a depressive episode as well, which the director loved because it was aesthetically, compelling to see him depressed. So he said, don't get better, stay depressed.
Yeah, and Jim Carrey brought that up in an interview like 10 years later, and he said that's how fucked up Hollywood is.
Yep, which...
Yep.
Not incorrect.
I just kind of made that point about Charlie Kaufman, didn't I?
Yeah.
Speaking
Charlie
of
Kaufman.
the script, sorry, can I throw in that speaking of the script, IMDb says that as of 2023, this is the most recent film to win a screenwriting Oscar without being nominated for Best Picture. So, it did get an Oscar, the screenplay, as we talk about it.
That's interesting because I feel like that is reflective of how people talk about films now, where like a film is boiled down to its writing and its plot, and people ignore cinematography and other elements. At least in like the sort of Twitter film people, where a film's value is, does it have some twists and turns, and does it need a YouTube video to explain its ending? A film's value is not, is it fun to watch, and does it have great shots and performances?
Yeah.
I'm not good. Please don't ask me to back that up with examples.
Okay.
It's 8 a.m. and I've only just had my first sip of my coffee.
Just getting back to Carrie, I was noticing this time, I think he gets to slip out just a little bit with wacky Jim stuff when he's doing Baby Joel, which it's so built into
yeah,
the story,
absolutely.
you kind of miss out on it a bit because it's so like kind of baked into the story. Like it
Yeah,
doesn't
because
stick
it's
out.
relevant. It doesn't. But you're absolutely right. That is some carriage.
I have a hot take, I think, on this one. I actually watching it last night, I did not like Kate Winslet very much in it, and it's not because she's doing a bad job so much as I've seen the movies she's done in the past 15 years, and her persona is modified so much. I can barely accept her in this role because I'm thinking like Contagion or when what was the Danny Boyle Steve Jobs films? Was that Steve Jobs or Jobs? Like to me, that's now become like what I think of when
Jobs Steve.
I don't know.
Is that what it's called?
Because there's also the one with the '70s show dude. So, but the Danny Boyle one. But that's now kind of my template for Kate Winslet, and that doesn't fit with this at all.
Number one, she sounded a lot more British to me this time. I'm sorry, she sounded pretty British. Did anybody else feel like that? I'm sure you didn't, Luke.
No, I'm used to hearing Brits do American accents. So
yeah, it was sort of like Helena Bonham Carter always has like one little slip up in everything she did, and it felt like Kate Winslet was doing the slip ups a lot, but she was also having to yell a lot, which is hard in an accent. I think nearly impossible to yell in an accent.
Yeah,
it's not yours.
Like I'm saying, like her screen persona in the years since seems to have like damaged how she comes across for me in this film. I don't know if that's fair or not, but
so I thought you were saying that she had improved. Is that what you're saying?
Since, yes, but her screen persona has become very steely, which is not this character. So it's I mean, and
you could draw a very good parallel to Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Ramona Flowers in the Scott Pilgrim movie. Like that's a character that's a lot like this, and she also, I think, every time I've seen her any other movie, she's been very steely. Like in Cloverfield Lane, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
I didn't see that one, but yeah, maybe
also I think this handles the quote unquote manic pixie dream girl a little better than that.
Though this feels like when I was reading up on this film, it slightly predates the coining of the term manic pixie dream girl, but feels like it's trying to reject that archetype.
It does and it doesn't.
I don't know if it 100% pulls it off, but
it rejects it because she has self-awareness. She says, I'm not an object. There's some level of reciprocity between her relationships, so she doesn't exist just for him. But the mold is very manic pixie dream girl. Like it's a stone's throw from what it looks like on the outside. So there is a little bit. It is a little different. It's a little more advanced. And I think it was 3 years later that they created the term. So it's all retrospective anyway.
It was a little yes and no because most of what you see is his imagination or memory or both. I guess you could pretty much take his memory was probably mostly accurate except for times when he was interacting with it, but she kind of needs help, and I feel like nobody gave a shit if she got help or not at all, period, including the movie. So
that's so true. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like I do feel a lot of sympathy for her, but it's also no one cares.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess what is their level in society anyway? Both of them can afford this procedure, but I guess if you're screwed
Doesn't
up
do
in the
it.
head enough,
Doesn't
you'll
tell
I
us
feel
how
like
much the procedure is, right?
they
I feel like it was
don't,
like
but
$100 because it
Yeah,
didn't work.
Matt's assuming it's really expensive because that's how they would do it in a Twilight Zone episode.
because I
But
just watched that Twilight
Do
Zone
it.
episode like last
Yeah.
week.
$5,000
$5,000,
in
right?
1962 money. No, this is
This is cheaper than that. This is made to look
yeah,
almost
they
like a
send
fly
a
by night.
couple of drunk guys to your house to do it, so it's like
yeah, like
I
fuck
don't
on
think they're
top of you.
charging.
Yeah, they are pretty wildly unprofessional for this organization. I mean, on every
And
level.
And the guy Howard failed completely. He failed on his own affair. He failed. You know what I mean? It's like just that to me is the most compelling part of this movie is you're watching a shitty startup fail miserably.
Yeah.
And I loved that part of it. Like if like what Neuralink did this, that would make me delighted. Like, oh no, it turns out that he put Neuralink into Grimes and then her brain exploded. No, I don't want Grimes to die, but
Yeah,
somebody
if
else.
Neuralink tried to do this, it would just accidentally replace all of my memories of my ex with a gorilla.
Yeah.
with Elon Musk, you'll remember having a relationship with Elon Musk.
And yet somehow still no one will remember loving him.
You'll remember going to the bar with him and having some drinks, but you're kind of annoyed. Like
Yeah,
mildly
him
annoyed the
making
whole time.
jokes and me going like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, if you call the president a cuck a bunch of times, it's not really a joke. And he goes, ha ha ha, that's true. And drinks another beer. I don't know. What is his accent? Like, his accent isn't like that. Anyway.
Yeah, I feel like you're doing
I don't think his accent is possible for humans to do.
Yeah.
You cannot pronounce his name in its original language. Your tongue
Make
cannot
him play the new
syllables.
Terminator.
So there's a really easy trick. You just replace the M with a C and the S and the K with an N and a T.
That's a fair amount of substitutions, but I guess there's a rhyme there.
It's a specific dialect.
Yeah, this is definitely like a supporting cast bonanza. Like everyone in the supporting cast is just like 100%
And what I really
on
love is a lot of the supporting cast are not playing to type as well. Like Kirsten Dunst is playing like a parody of Mary Jane from the Spider-Man films. Elijah Wood playing a total creep. Really
Definitely
well.
definitely not a hobbit in this one. Doesn't have hobbit ethics.
What? Mark Ruffalo used to be this young? Yeah, because he's
I didn't know who he was when I saw this.
Yeah, I only know Mark Ruffalo from like Avengers onwards. So. And then I've totally forgotten his name.
I keep saying that.
You know why I haven't seen Zodiac, Matt?
You should see Zodiac.
Because they didn't send it to you, but they said they would.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I will never watch that film.
That's
until
right.
Empire Magazine sends me my copy.
Right. Man, I hope that this podcast reaches them in time before we finish the podcast.
That would
do
be great.
A special episode for that.
If they do that, if they do that, I'll take Zodiac for my birthday movie just so can have a reason to watch it after he gets it sent to him.
And Tom Wilkinson, rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so used to seeing him play like New York criminal that I forget that he's British.
I think this is where
he was British. Okay, that fooled me. Okay.
I think I mostly associate him with this movie. So when I do see him playing the thugs, I'm a little thrown off sometimes because this guy is so kind of just like, what is he?
I mean, he is also a creep, but for most of the film, he comes across quite pleasant.
He died like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, I watched this film like a day after finding out that he died. So
we should also point out that we're recording this podcast basically almost 20 years. Well, this podcast is coming out almost 20 years from when this movie takes place. It's like Valentine's Day 2004, and this will come out 2 weeks before that, I think.
Right.
oh, nice.
So that's
Great timing.
Fun coincidence.
But it didn't release 2004, right?
It did, but later in the year, I think.
Okay. So it's a sci-fi movie set earlier than when it came out.
Yeah, my DVD says 2004. So that's DVD release. So maybe
Yeah,
about the same
I
same
just
time.
assumed it wouldn't have because you'd think they would set
Re-
it slightly in the future, but I guess
Release
not.
date March 19th, 2004.
Oh, well, pretty close.
Because what dates they call the dates? Kirsten Dunst has her mind wiped in 2002, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what
That's
they
on her
mentioned.
file.
That's in
Yeah.
her file. So
Mhm.
it is 2004. So it's a sci-fi
Yeah.
like right at the time it's supposed
Yeah,
to.
because you see the Valentine's Day when his neighbor's giving him a hard time about it, and then you see the next Valentine's Day when he's like, "No, I'm not doing anything with her." I guess that was the 2004 Valentine's Day.
Oh, okay. So slightly in the past. It's all slightly in the past, which makes sense for this kind of a
That's
film.
Jim Carrey only talks to his neighbor on Valentine's Day every year, and then stays in his apartment the rest of the time.
They have a special love for each other, but it only comes out on Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
That sounds like that needs to be a film, a tagline for some film. They had a special love together, but it only comes out on Valentine's Day. But
that
it has
might
to
be a
with
film.
two guys. It has to be two guys, but
So this
And they were
is a thing,
roommates.
though. This is one of those. What can you call it? Philip K. Dick likes, where it's sort of Philip K. Dick
Definitely, yeah.
esque, but not officially a Philip K. Dick thing.
well, I mean, yeah, Kaufman's got his own little tone, though. I mean, we also have the failed startup vibe and being John Malkovich, right?
Yeah,
Even adaptation has a bit of that, as in he's failing to start up his script. But
yeah. Being John Malkovich upset. I've gone to this before. It upset me a lot because the idea of being trapped inside somebody's brain is terribly upsetting to me.
okay, maybe that's the one that you had the bugaboo about. Then I thought it was this one.
No, it was both.
Okay.
But that one, I would have told you when I left the theater that I liked it, and then later on, I realized that it was upsetting me. And this, I disliked it immediately.
Okay, maybe I need to
But
watch Malkovich again, see if I hate it.
yeah, it also kind of reminds me of The Fountain, which I didn't like because, again, it was sort of like about a kind of a bad boyfriend, bad husband, because instead of hanging out with his wife who was dying, he was just imagining stuff. But I guess
I
I
like
guess he
that,
was
but
upset.
The Aronofsky flavor just keeps getting weirder and weirder. So we're
Yeah.
getting to him pretty soon.
Yeah.
Buck up for it, Mark.
Oh well, no, I liked that one. I don't know if I do now, but I did.
Yeah, that's
But
when Jared Leto was a serious actor. We all thought he was going to be the next guy, but now he's a weird
maybe
cult leader rocker that sends people bird piss
he's
in the mail or something.
he's just here for the Morbin.
Actually, I
Because
heard a
Morbin's
story. From somewhere, someone was on a show with him, and they got a nice gift because on that show he was playing a doctor, and apparently he sends people gifts based on the character he's playing. So,
Well, you know,
There's-
people always do make the comment like, "Oh, you never hear about method actors just being nice." So there you go. He does do it both ways.
Yeah.
You got to
Yeah.
give him
Yeah.
credit for that.
It's because nobody ever, when method actors are nice to people, then people just think that they're being genuinely nice, but they're just being the fucking nice character.
they have
So-
to they just have to play nice roles. That's all, you know. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis must have been a terror on There Will Be Blood.
I was listening to a podcast where Jim Downey was on it, and he was talking about that, and apparently, Daniel Day-Lewis was nice, but he stayed in character up like every second they were together. So he was just sort of driving
Okay.
around and asking him about football scores and being like, "So how about those?" You know, it was just doing that voice. That's not his real voice. Like the Phantom Thread voice is more his real voice.
Right. That's why I was about to say Phantom Thread, but then I thought
Mhm.
maybe that wasn't the best example, so I went for
That's
the other one.
yeah. I think that's kind of his real. I think Paul Thomas Anderson was just like, let's just write you one where you could just kind of be yourself.
And he hasn't done a movie since. Huh.
He was retired. He said he was going to retire. I hope he sticks to it. Good for him. You know, everybody keeps unretiring. Like Miyazaki, I'm sure that Boy and the Heroine is super good, but like take a
Say
break,
Boy and the
man. Just
Heroine?
enjoy
He
yourself.
did take a 10-year break, to be fair.
Okay, yeah. Wasn't it
That-
something like his son made a movie that was a disappointment and he was he wanted
Son,
to
but
you've
even-
been a
even that was
disappointment to
like
me.
20
Let me show
years
you.
ago.
Let me show you how it goes.
Man. And I heard John Williams was going to unretire. So what I want is John Williams, Miyazaki do a movie together.
Okay.
Just do it.
sure.
If you're going to if you're going to unretire yourselves, do that.
Do it
Anyway,
No,
together.
I don't want one without a Joe Musashi score.
Yeah, that's a good point. But also, man, just retire. It's great. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's great. I won't know, but I'll
I
never
mean, yeah,
know.
we're never going to get to retire, so
No,
I
but
think Miyazaki should work till he dies.
okay, fair enough. I think
This
he
is
agrees with
taking a
it.
turn.
I'm taking the boomer. I didn't get my student loans revised, so no one should. I'm taking that approach to retirement.
Yeah, point. I'm gonna have to walk uphill both ways to work until I'm 95. So you should keep working.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh
problem
boy,
solved. We've solved the economy. Very good.
there isn't. Yeah, there isn't really anybody else to do Miyazaki stuff. Like there isn't anyone else.
So, do you want to have
I
any portions of your life erased? That seems like a an obvious one here. I don't
This
No,
is
I
think
think
another.
I think I would come to the realization he came to, where like, actually, even if those memories are bad, you need them to be you.
Yes. That was another
But
reason I didn't like the movie when I first saw it. I was like, man, this sucks. You learn so much from bad relationships. And not only do they now know that they had their memories erased, but they're gonna go waste a whole bunch more time and fail again.
they
So like
listen to
if
the
they
tapes.
hadn't,
or are they going to go into
Mm.
it with some knowledge that will help them? Who knows?
maybe, but
Yeah, I don't think they also are just actually quite incompatible.
yeah, that's the thing. That's sort of the thing is I'm sure that I know somebody who had a relationship that blew up a bunch of times and then it ended up working out, but I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. So yeah. Um, I remember being in high school and my physics teacher said, forget about your high school sweetheart. Forget about who you're dating right now. You're probably gonna have to date at least 30 people before you find the right person. And at the time he said that, I was kind of offended because I knew a bunch of people who were dating each other. I'm like, God, really? And he was kind of right. You kind
30
of
is
have
a
to.
pretty high number.
30
Okay.
is
Like, I
very
can see
high.
his point, but I don't know if I'd go as high as 30.
I mean, I've done 30 and I'm still pretty single, so I don't know.
Just think
Maybe I
about
should have aimed lower.
I
just
don't
think
think
about
I've been on 30 even like first dates.
I do know people who did marry people they knew in high school and are still married. So
Hmm.
that is not that's not a definite, but also I don't I think the first person I met who I would have even imagined being happy being married to, who I dated, would have been when I was 24. So there you go. She's definitely not listening to this.
yeah, at least you didn't get the advice from Wilt Chamberlain, right? You're gonna have to date 3,000 people before you find the right one.
Yeah,
Look at
and then
those
you know
date
what?
in quotations.
You should just keep dating more, because even if you find the right one, just keep going, man. You gotta get those numbers up.
I don't know. That maybe
I wish
that's
I could think of a good basketball quote. But you gotta go above the rim 3,000 times.
okay. Sure.
But yeah, I have learned things from every failed relationship I've had, even though I certainly have dated people who were the manic pixie dream girl type after I saw this movie and disapproved of it. And but it's why I learned was valuable, except for eventually when I just decided it wasn't worth it to date anybody. I probably shouldn't have learned that, but
See,
same time.
I guess if I were to erase any memories, it'd be like really boring shit, like not
Yeah.
traumatic shit. I'd keep that. I give like church services and Boy Scout camp. I could flush those.
But I mean, do you remember anything from church services? Because I just don't remember anything. I just remember sitting somewhere.
Yeah, honestly,
I know what I would erase from my memory.
you.
No, specific. I would erase like some of my favorite video games so I can play them again.
Oh God, you're
that's
right.
clever. Yeah.
Oh man.
Like I would erase like Breath of the Wild and the Metal Gear Solid series and then replay them.
Speaking of video games, this inspired a video game. It was called To the Moon, and it's from 2011. And the premise is that some people manipulate the memories of a dying man to give him like complete happiness before dying. So I've never played it.
I never played it.
You heard of it?
I have heard of it. It's very well regarded. People talk about like bawling their eyes out playing that game.
That's cool. I want to find it.
I think it's like super available and super cheap.
It
But
is.
It was made in RPG Maker.
It's on Steam and it is rated overwhelmingly positive, so it belongs on the good list. Oh, it says similar to games you've played, Undertale and Celeste. Yeah, I'm in. Cool.
So maybe someone in that office, that low rent office, was there for to forget some video games. It doesn't have to be all like traumatic things. Although I did think that the lady sitting there with the oversized dog bowl was pretty hysterical.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I noticed that detail in the past, or not, at least not thought about it as intently.
I mean, that is a good point, but Luke, have you reached the age where you start feeling like you're worried you're never going to get to play everything that you want to play that you haven't played?
A little bit. I've kind of been letting go of it because I was like listening to video game podcasts and video game websites, and I was like, man, I could just not care about all this shit and just play the stuff I like.
That's
So
really
I
healthy.
have started to let go of. I'm trying to let go of it. I haven't
Yeah.
100% succeeded, but like, yeah, because I'm never going to play and watch and read everything I want to. So I'll just go with the flow and play what I enjoy at the moment.
Yeah, I feel really good about the time I spent with like Tears of the Kingdom, Elden Ring, and Death Stranding the past year, and it's like this thing where I read something somewhere that said gamers in their 40s spend more time reading game news than they do playing games, and that always pops up in my head, and it really kind of applies. Sometimes I find myself just browsing Reddit for an hour, and it's like I could have played a game for an hour, even just played Tetris for an hour, and I like forgot about the Splatfest last weekend.
Hey,
So I
here's
didn't play that at all.
Oh man, the Splatfest last weekend, one of the teams had white ink.
Oh no, I missed a cum stage.
And I was playing it in front of Mercy, and she was just so grossed out because they were all turning into cum, and then it had the squelchy sound effects. She was really getting an ick from it.
Yeah, like I definitely caught the, what was it, ketchup and mayo, where it was just like cum and blood.
Yeah.
I think the cum team did really well.
I had a student at work. It was my first, we talked about Splatoon, and it was like, oh, what team have you chosen? And he's like, I chose solo because the ink's white.
You guys, for you guys and anybody listening, if you don't understand what the fuck we're talking about, this is a game where you're a squid who shoots ink, and you can swim through the ink that you shoot, but not the ink the other team shoots.
Yes. And yeah, so it's color coded, and usually they very deliberately avoid white ink.
Yeah.
But not
and then
always.
They made that the I want to spend the holidays alone team. Like...
Well, they were spending the holidays alone.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's in their stocking?
I wonder if it'd be worth forgetting things you've created, like the creative process. Like if you've written a book, if you forgot,
it would be gone.
You could read the book again without remembering writing the book, or listen to music you made without remembering the making of it, which makes it more enigmatic. Because when you create
who would love that? Adam Driver.
Oh yeah.
Well, wait, maybe it would still be because it's him on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be fun if you just erased his entire memory and
of
then
himself?
Like made him watch a movie and then take him outside and just put him in front of a mirror and it's like, what? I am Kylo Ren?
Yeah, but then he decides like, oh, that must be my personality, and starts going around being a fascist.
Well, it's okay. You show him episode 9 where his personality is just all over the place.
No, you don't show anyone episode 9.
He'll just be confused forever. Like, I don't know. Am I evil or good or dead or alive? I don't know.
I don't, but that is a good point, because when you create something, you remember all the little mistakes you made. You remember the process of doing it. You kind of know what your intentions were most of the time. So it might be fun to forget all that and then experience it like from the outside, but still knowing that you made it. Is that?
Yeah, when I read something I've just written, I hate it. When I read something I read like 10 years ago, I hate it. But when I read something I read just like a couple years ago, I'm like, oh man, I'm a funny guy.
So
So it needs to be, I've just about forgotten it, but it hasn't been long enough that, I've improved.
Matt, that's a little, I feel like that's a little weird coming from you because your music output is so vast. Like, do you really remember like all of the ways that you've made all the stuff? Because I feel like I've made a lot less stuff than you, and I don't remember a lot of my process. Or like there was a one time about, I guess, 20 years ago when my laptop got stolen, and there was a bunch of stuff I could just never recreate, even though it was from that year.
I couldn't go and like recreate it. So, well, to a certain extent I could. But just when you listen, you have like a memory come through, like, oh, I remember when I was playing this guitar solo, there was an earthquake and I just kept playing the guitar solo.
Man,
That
maybe
sounds
I
sick. Why
Yeah.
would you want to forget that?
Okay, well that's too specific. I guess it's more like the house was
just
cold that day. I remember recording this like, and it was like snowy outside. My heater broke. Like, so that's what I'm thinking about when I hear the song. No, actually, the earthquake one's kind of cool. So maybe I don't want to forget
yeah,
that one, but
I want to believe like everything was just falling down all around you and you're just going.
it was an aftershock of the big one here.
Nice.
Didn't you just have another earthquake very recently?
Yeah, I didn't feel it. I was up at the onsen. They felt it down here. But what was funny is I'm walking through, and look, this is the one that we used to go to all the time. I'm walking through the corridor, and everyone's phone alarms start going off. Bloop, bloop, bloop. So I pick up my phone and look at it, and I'm getting like an incoming call from Scott. So it was just kind of like weird timing.
I was
So-
in Mexico during the earthquake, but when I got back to my apartment, I discovered, oh man, one
Ah,
of my Princess Peaches was broken.
damn it.
So
Peachy
I'm a
was-
victim of the recent earthquake.
Hmm.
I remember hearing about it. I looked on a map and it was really far away from you guys. So I was like, they're fine.
Yeah, they apparently a lot of my students did feel it, but they were telling me the alarm on their phone that's like earthquake was much scarier than the actual earthquake.
And I just had an incoming call.
The only earthquake that I've actually ever felt or witnessed was in Japan. Like there have been earthquakes here, but I've never like been awake or felt any of them.
I felt a couple of them, but it's never been like a big one.
Well,
The biggest
the
one was when I was in Osaka, and it knocked over a couple of old walls, and it broke a
Wow.
few glasses in the hotel I was working at.
I got a pretty wild ride in 2011.
Yeah, it was 2012 when I was visiting and I was sleeping on Scott's floor in Tokyo and I was having a dream, and in my dream it was like the the building I was in my dream was made of cardboard and it was shaking apart, and I was like, this doesn't seem right. This building shouldn't be made of cardboard. And then I wake up and then things are kind of like shaking but not like making any noise. Like the bookshelves are just kind of going left to right. And then Scott just like sat up immediately. He like didn't say anything. So I didn't say anything. And then we both just went back to sleep.
And then you
I was
forgot the
sleeping.
memory. The memory vanished.
No, I remembered it. I talked to him about it the day after, but it was like when it happened, it was just like, whoa, this is fucking weird. It's not what you would expect if you've never been in an earthquake before. Dorian, you ever get earthquakes there?
Well, supposedly we're going to have the biggest one of all time at some point because our fault is like the big one. But I mean, it's the one that connects down to whatever. No, I haven't experienced it yet. But every like couple years, they'll give us like really scary articles about if you live in Seattle, like you're watch out because it's going to break off the whole state. I mean, just some big, very quiet and overdue fault that we have over here by like 200 years or something. So we're taking time bomb. They always tell us.
I don't think anything's ever really fallen off into the ocean before like that. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible. Okay.
Well, I was thinking of like disaster movie style, like because that's how they hype it up when they remind you that you live on a fault and your days are numbered. It's always the most dramatic.
Yeah, but that's why I'm buying up lots of land just a couple of miles in from the coast. And then I've stolen 2 nuclear missiles. And I'm gonna
yeah. Okay. That's just trying to awaken Godzilla.
No, that's what Lex's plan was in the 1978
Yeah, that's what I was
Superman.
saying. Are you gonna get a wig for that? Because that Lex has a wig.
No,
or has June Hackman's hair.
When I'm hired to play Lex Luthor, I'm not going to be a coward, and I'm going to go full bull.
Nice.
That's so different than normal life. Um, does someone have a big point or observation they want to throw out on this? Because I'm gonna start looking for reviews
Uh,
and such.
I
Total
want to
Recall.
mention a couple things if I can. The director told Jim Carrey it was a drama and told Winslet it was a comedy.
Huh.
So they said that Carrie was frustrated that there was this completely different thing, that the messages they were getting. But it's kind of interesting to direct people that way. So I thought that was worth mentioning. And there was actually a website, like an Easter egg sort of, that was lacunainc.com, that was a website for the film, but it was sort of an Easter egg in the film. So they didn't promote it, but if you went to that because you saw it in the film, it would be about the movie. And it's no longer, it doesn't exist anymore. I checked, but thought that was kind of a clever marketing stunt.
If we could way back
Good.
machine that, probably.
I guess
maybe.
the question we always have to ask on this podcast is like, why is this film on this list? Because
Yeah.
it's good and it's interesting, but I don't quite understand why it has quite the reputation it has. Like even the Wikipedia, like the opening paragraph is like, oh, it's often listed as best film of the 2000s and one of the best films of all time, and it's like, so yeah, it's right,
Dude,
it's good.
I am convinced that this is the whatever the love song played at the wedding effect, where a lot of people have taken this and attached, just sort of pinned their relationships to it, or pinned their maybe doomed romances to it, because it has that kind of a quality. Where
Interesting.
Like I remember in 2004, I drank the Kool-Aid. I think I did consider this my favorite film of 2004. Which, if I were to look a list of 2004 films now, I doubt that would be the case. But like,
Godzilla Final Wars was 2004, so I know what mine is.
Okay. I'll go over that. Yeah, that beats this. But yeah, it is one where I'm like
Shrek 2.
That
sorry,
no.
Spider-Man 2.
I would put. I
The
think Shrek and
Incredibles.
Shrek 2 should be on this list. Spider-Man 2 actually maybe is a contender for my
Spider-Man
favorite
2.
film of all
Yeah,
time.
that is a fucking great. That is a fucking great
You'll
movie.
get the Spider-Verse on the list.
I have a pithy reason why I think this was successful, and I think it's life affirming, Eternal Sunshine, because it glamorizes futility, because the alternate is oblivion. Does that make sense? Like it's like, well, it could be worse. So that's what makes it life affirming, even though it's sort of a depressing angle on what is life affirming. But you have your choice, oblivion or futility. So
But maybe it is just it tapped into something. I mean, as a post 9/11 movie, like I think people were feeling a sort of that, like they were feeling like futility, and maybe a way to sort of accept that was actually something people really needed.
And people in our age bracket, we were all Winslet age when this came out, you know. So
yeah, I mean, I definitely could see the appeal of being in 2004, 1 year after we started going to war with Iraq, and being like, oh, I wish we could just kind of go take it back a little bit, just kind of back it up. Oh, Hellboy, that might be my favorite movie of 2004.
Yeah, I'm guessing
Shaun of the Dead remake.
Anchorman was that year. Shaun of the Dead was that year.
Shaun of the Dead. My least favorite movie of the year, Garden State. I'll just go ahead and say that. Fuck that movie.
I was gonna throw that out as another Manic Pixie Dream Girl movie. I haven't seen it, but that's notorious for being one, right?
Yes, I think so.
The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Here's my Garden State story. I'm gonna make it fast. I was really stupidly high. I'd gone to see Wire at Variety Playhouse, which I love. I had a great time seeing Wire. They said something mean about Bush, and nobody really seemed to get it. I come back to my townhouse where I'm living with like way too many people, and the neighbor comes over and it's like, you should watch this. It's about a guy who destroys his mind with drugs. And I think she's talking directly to me, and we sit there and watch it, and I'm like, I hate this. And then eventually she just goes upstairs to fuck two of my roommates, and I'm still sitting there watching Garden State. I'm like, this sucks.
Wow.
Walked away after it was about 40 minutes in. I was like, this sucks. I can't stand this anymore.
Sounds like there's some stuff going on.
That's an involved memory. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah. But also, man, 2004 was a great year for movies. I mean, wow.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, I guess I saw this and then screwed
Life
off
Aquatic.
for Japan. If it was end of March, I probably would have seen it opening night. And a month after that's when I split the country, or at least for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I found my least favorite film of 2004,
What is it?
Thunderbirds.
Team America, World Police. Oh, Blade Trinity, that was bad.
Wow, did Team America World Police come out the same year the bad Thunderbirds film came out?
Looks like. That's wild.
Jeez, that must have been a bad year to be Jerry Anderson.
Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, that's a good film.
Catwoman, which I think we'll be talking about eventually.
Catwoman is the film that made me realize films could be bad.
That's funny. I saw that as a question on Reddit recently. What was the film that you first made you realize that films could be bad? And I couldn't remember.
Well, I mean, I think I had. It's not quite that, but it's the film where I remember just watching it and just like literally in my head hearing her say a line and being like, "Someone got paid to write that."
I have a really specific weird answer to that, and I have to look up the movie.
Primer came out this year. You seen Primer?
I've never seen it, actually. Yeah. It seems like
It's-
something I would have watched.
I think you would like it, Matt. I don't know if the other two of you would like it. It's very slow and confusing. And you pretty much have to look at a map after you've watched it. It's a time travel movie.
No, that sounds up my street.
Yeah.
You might
What
be
are you trying to insinuate, Mark? I'm an idiot.
No, it is a genuinely extremely confusing and opaque movie, but I highly encourage you to watch it if you think you would even remotely be interested in it. I'll say that.
I like time travel stuff. I like to see how different people do it and where the loopholes are.
But it's also kind of a story of a failed startup. So yeah, both of you should watch it. Well, all three of you should watch it.
I have two movies that I think was when I realized that movies could be bad. One is Made to Order with Ali Sheedy and Beverly D'Angelo and Tom Skerritt. I mean, I watched in like 1988. I don't remember anything about it now, but I remember like that specifically being the first one. Was like, we rented this and it's bad.
Ghost of the Shell 2.
There's a Gene Wilder film that
saying
also
stuff
did that.
now.
And now you're just saying stuff.
Now I'm saying names of films that I love from 2004. There are many. I guess we're gonna do Super Babies. Oh my God, that's low rated. Super Babies, Baby Geniuses 2. I think that's like in 2029 or something.
Yeah, we get both of them. We get to do the whole franchise.
1.5.
Working it.
At least one of those films I actually made my parents watch, so I'm looking forward to getting to that.
Oh boy.
Getting to our standard question, is this kind of a film that makes you feel filthy? Is that the Eternal Sunshine Effect?
I didn't. I actually I kind of liked the ending of this film. I liked how it got into despite like how bleak the premise was, there was kind of a positive outcome. They made a what I felt was, I mean, I probably this relationship will still end, but I liked that they chose to give it a go.
When I first saw the movie, that's how I felt, and then watching it now, being I guess older and cynical, I was like, that's 2 months, and they're off again.
See, rewatching this as an older person, I still feel like their relationship is doomed, but I just feel bad for all the things that I avoided. So I just, in the old internet meme, I see myself in this and I don't like it. Or I see myself tagged in this and I don't like it.
Maybe that's why I'm saying it makes you feel filthy. It makes you feel that way when you're so. The movie age is okay, but you age badly. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, it's like I see the futility of a lot of my past relationships, and I see no answer to it. That like when I was younger, I guess the answer was like, of course, don't waste your fucking time. Go to the next thing. And now I'm just like, oh God. What? I have no imagination now. I should have just dated somebody terrible for a long time. That's not true.
That doesn't seem like the best course. That alternative doesn't sound right either.
You're right. It sounds like a grass is greener thing, because the thing is, I never actually did that. I never committed to a broken, shitty relationship for longer than a couple of months. So I think that inevitably when you do that, when you decide not to do that, then you grow older and you're just like, maybe I should have just done something. But no, I shouldn't have. And
you don't want to erase your memories.
No, I don't want to erase. I never wanted to erase my memories. I think that anything I've learned about myself and my interactions with other people is very valuable and should be, kept. And then think about it. At best case scenario, their relationship works out. They just paid like whatever $300 to erase 2 years memories of fucking. Right? That's terrible.
Maybe they actually had like terrible sex. I don't know.
I don't want to erase it.
But you'd like to imagine that, he would at least improve a little bit in that time.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it. Not erasing any of the sex.
So you just remember having sex with a random person, which I don't know.
That would be funny.
Yeah.
Man, it's funny. I've had like 31 night stands, or no, wait, 200. I don't know. How do you count that? If you don't remember the person each time, it's funny. I had this one night stand with this one person like 100 times. It was really strange.
Like, when he meets her on that train, and he's like, "Hey, this is gonna sound weird, but I think I fucked you 200 times."
That's a good pickup line.
It's not a good pickup line.
Eternal sunshine of the cum-stained mind.
Oh my God.
I do have a 1-star review.
All right, go for it.
Okay.
Read it.
Absolute worthless garbage. I finally watched Eternal Sunshine this weekend. This is a 2008 review, just to throw that out. What a piece of absolute unadulterated crap from beginning to end. I mean, I've seen a lot of bad movies recently, but this has to rank as the absolute worst. And this won the Oscar for Best Screenplay. God, the people in Hollyweed must have their head up their collective rectums. Now I hate Jim Carrey, but he was... Oh, no, now I hate Jim Carrey, but he was absolutely horrid in this, as was Kate Winslet. At least they're doing the punctuation correct, so I fixed it.
Okay.
Did the director actually expect anyone to feel anything for these two-dimensional stereotypes? And the director must have gone to handheld camera 101 to learn his craft. Talk about annoying. I want my 25 cents back. 25 cents?
25
At least
cents?
most of the other garbage I've watched recently was mildly entertaining, but this wasn't even that. Did anyone actually believe they were saying something significant about the human condition here? If so, go back and watch some Renoir or Bergman or Kurosawa or just about any of the great directors. Even Ed Wood knew more about the human condition than the bozo who wrote this. 26 out of 69 found it helpful.
That was pretty good.
That was actually a well-written one for once.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it's funny how incoherent and weird they are. This one, it's got it's proper punctuation. I assume Hollyweed is intentional. So, yeah, at least they're writing properly. Good for them.
Yeah, I'm scrolling and there's a lot of hate for this movie. It's really interesting.
How many of them are 2004s? Actually, a lot of them are 2004s. Okay, I was just wondering if it's an aging thing, but yeah, it has a fair amount of people that didn't like it from the Kill Me Now. That's the title of one.
Like giving cotton candy to a starving person. That's like my favorite headline here.
Wow. Read that one. Or is that all there is?
Okay.
It's just
Sure, I'll read it. This isn't really a movie review. Well, that's a problem. It's more a reaction. After watching this movie, I feel like running around screaming, "You're missing the point. You're missing the point." Perhaps I'm missing the point. This film gets kudos for being clever and quirky and well filmed in a being John Malkovich kind of way. Clever, quirky, but there's a spiritual barrenness underlying it. Shouldn't art be more than clever? Shouldn't it reach deeper? Limericks are clever. We don't call them art. The underlying message in Eternal Sunshine isn't all that original. I am tired of seeing movies about love and loneliness. How many movies have we all seen? His basic point is that if you just reach out, take a chance, find romance, this will fend off the ravening wolves of loneliness at the door of modern life. In a culture that desperately needs a sense of community and connection, peddling movies and songs about romance is like giving cotton candy to a starving person. It isn't what we need. Finding romance is not the way to fend off loneliness and alienation. A change in the culture is. If we all felt connected to something that mattered, to other living things, to communities we cared about, romances wouldn't be the be-all and all of meaningful existence. It would just be one among many of life's joys. 101 out of 215 found this helpful. That's from 2006.
This movie sparks off well-written bad reviews, so that's definitely notable.
That one kind of read like it was written by a little bit of an incel.
Yeah, that was kind of sort of well written.
The punctuation's there, except for that one.
It was correct. The grammar was correct. So
yeah, I see. From the title, I thought it was gonna be just like You know,
Yeah, that was gonna be meaner.
I thought it was gonna be a more interesting take than just like, oh, it's
Yeah.
about romance, boring.
Also, like I want to deduct several points for them putting the title of the review inside the review. That's some hack bullshit.
This movie does that too. Kirsten Dunst gets the titular line.
You can
That's
have a
fair.
titular line in a film that's 2 hours long, but not in like a 2-paragraph review.
Oh,
Like, come on.
by the way, Mark, just under that review, I'm not going to read the whole one, but this one sentence is worth reading. Mark
Yeah.
and Frodo bullied Jim Carrey, and a lot of people enjoyed how that humiliation was done. That's good.
In their
That's
defense,
great.
they thought he was asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not professional. They need to up professionalism of that company, I guess.
Oh
well,
yeah, there was
never.
zero professionalism of that company. Jeez Louise.
They got exactly what they deserved. So, you know, and Mark
So
Ruffalo doesn't get to.
How come so many of when we see The Office, we see people having this procedure like in office, but then somehow Jim Carrey got like the home version of it. Like they didn't really go into why they were there in the first place and why he couldn't just have it done like everyone else.
I'm betting they always do. That's what I'm assuming. They always do that. Maybe
always go to their home. But
Yeah.
then we saw images like when there was that lady.
No, because he got the they made the map of his brain in the office. And then the erasing took place at home. So maybe she was just getting the map made.
Or maybe
Okay,
it's like
I
erasing
buy
your
that.
dog is a simpler procedure they can do in office, but erasing your 2-year relationship requires a little bit more whatever they're doing.
My dog keeps bringing dead squirrels in. Please erase this memory. But yeah, I put in my notes early on. I was like, man, I bet a lot of people get killed because of this, you know? Like, you imagine doing this to somebody who has like an enraged stalker, and then they get a note that's like, please don't remember or somebody who has the potential to be a stalker, because that's a lot of the time an abusive relationship is the person who's being abused feels like it's their fault. So like, I'm sorry, it feels like it's my fault, so I'm going to erase you from my memory, and then some like rage monster comes and kills them.
While
like
I'm reading
Unless
stuff
it
off,
becomes. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was just going to say, just reading off of IMDb a bit more. It says in the trivia section, the idea for this film was brought to Michel Gondry by his friend, artist Pierre Bismuth, who suggested you get a card in the mail that says, someone you know has just erased you from their memory, which could cause the rage monster you're talking about, you know?
That's a pretty artsy thing to base a movie on. I'll give him that.
Well, they're French artists.
Yeah.
Dorian, you were saying?
Oh, I was wondering if it would eventually get into like the legal system so that stalker is the one that has to go and have his memory of the stalkee erased. Like if it became part of society that it was used as a tool, then I was just spiraling out into that idea.
Franchise it, you know,
That
you
could,
go
yeah.
to the corner mind erase to it's like social media in reverse.
That could be great, actually. I'd love to erase the memory of me from some people. I mean,
yeah, maybe
and I'm not even talking about.
We got more of a context for it now. You're erasing like things that you got involved with on the internet, you know?
Yeah, like we've all probably experienced this, right? Where somebody just has a weird hate boner for you, and they're friends with all your friends, and they're like sort of have it in for you because all they do is sit at their computer and stare at Facebook and do uppers and type stuff all the time. Or is that just me?
It's very specific.
That might be a little bit specific there, yeah.
Yeah, well, anyway, I unfriended them and they blocked me, so good. But okay. I still think I would probably feel a lot better if they just kind of forgot about me, but medically.
Right.
No, I love knowing that someone's stewing about me and I've forgotten about them.
Yeah.
Is that why you got off Twitter?
Pretty much.
No, I mean, you know what else got off Twitter? Twitter got off Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter got off Twitter. Yeah.
But if you want to find us on Twitter, wait, Dorian, you got anything to plug?
No, I never prepare. So, well, whatever the next Twilight Zone episode is, I had the Andy Devine episode, so that actually hasn't existed yet, but it will. So I'm going to say when Matt promotes Twilight Zone, you throw me in there.
Okay.
Well,
All right,
that's
Mark,
like
you're
a
doing that.
reverse Eternal Sunshine where you're giving them a memory that they don't have yet.
It's precognition. It's going to happen.
I mean, people now will know about the Bucky Larson podcast that we haven't recorded, so that's sort of an Eternal Sunshine thing,
It
isn't
is
it?
on a list they could look at, though.
Yeah, well, listeners will know about all the really offensive things Dorian said on that Twilight Zone podcast.
That's part of the surprise. That's a spoiler alert right there.
If you want to forget about those things, go to patreon.com/podcastias and send us some money for server bills, and you'll be so pleased with yourself that you'll forget anything that anybody said that bothered you forever. Also, check out our other podcasts, like Podcast 1999 about Space 1999, Luke Loves Pokemon, going over Pokemon, Hyrule Field Report, go over your Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, Time Enough podcast we just talked about, going over episodes of Twilight Zone. You catch Dorian on that. I think you catch me and Luke on episodes of that pretty soon too. We also have Occult Disney, going over connections between the occult and Disney, and I think that's all of the podcast.
Oh, and the
game show about games.
You're holding on to that thing. Okay, I was like
I
genuinely.
genuinely.
It was like the tone of voice was the medical procedure.
My memory erases as I say things, so I have to always ask, did I forget a podcast at the end of the plugs?
You forgot all of them.
No.
I cut there. That's a
Okay.
cut. Actually, I'll just quit recording. Sorry, you said Andy Devine, and